It's time for sports with Justin Tafa ahead of his UFC bout against Jared Vanderaa next weekend in Vegas. Man, just first of all, how are you feeling heading into that one?
Hey man, no, thanks for having me. I feel all good, this is like a faster turnaround than I usually have, before I was fighting like once a year or something. So I finally get to fight a few times in the 1 year, hopefully, and the quick turnaround I think will do me well.
What were your takeaways from that last fight against Carlos Felipe? Obviously, it was a hell of a fight. Personally, I thought you won it. I thought the judges got that one wrong, but that's what UFC judges quite often do, don't they? Just what were your feelings immediately after that, and what did you take away from it?
With the fights, besides like all of the finances, that comes with winning and losing, like with the win bonus and future contract negotiations. Like after their last bell rings and the fight's finished, it's like in yourself if you've done that, if you've done the job, and no one else can take that away from you, like judges or whatnot. When you see that guy that you fought with, like the opponent, and you look into his eyes and you see that he was defeated, man, you can't take that away from me, like I knew I beat that guy's corner, I knew I beat him, man. That's I'll take that. But the finance side, oh man, yeah, I wish the judges gave me the the win, man.
They even took that
But
fight of the night bonus.
definitely, yeah, man. That's what I was gonna say. Like, I didn't understand that, but like that must be the first time in history is a 50-40 whatever fight of the night. There has to be the first time it's a 50-44 fight of the night. I don't know what kind of fight of the night that is when someone's getting their head pummeled in. I know a lot of people that would gladly, get that 50K just to stand and be a punching bag, whereas sadly.
Where do you feel like that loss puts you now? Obviously, you thought you won that fight, but it went differently in the judges. So that puts you 1-2 in the UFC heading into, I guess this would be a pretty pivotal bout for you in what I assume is probably the last fight on your current contract.
Yeah, definitely. Last fight on the contract, back against the wall kind of thing. Like this is what people don't see is how influential the judges can be. Like everyone's always like, "Oh, you shouldn't leave it to the judge's hand." I was like, "Man, you watched the fight. I was trying my best to knock him out." Like I didn't leave any stone unturned that fight. And like judges, like giving him the wrong call puts me. I could easily be, like one fight away from top 15 now, and one fight away from being cut. So these judges need to be held accountable, I think. But for me, back against the wall, I still feel like I have nothing to lose. Like win or lose, I know I come in and I bring a fight, and then that's all that matters. Like at the end of the day, I can't control what the judges do, but if I know I put the work in, and I put the work in that cage too, man, I can't be angry at myself.
Have you seen much of Jared Vanderaa?
Oh, I think I watched a little bit. I like to size them up while I'm in the octagon, so I just leave it to my corners to look at the video and do a little breakdowns, and I trust them and their breakdowns when it comes to training and giving me the little tweaks that I need to win the fight.
Just want to go back to your background. Obviously, Auckland boy from Avondale. I don't know if many people from down here actually are aware that you're a Kiwi boy. And you were signed by the Melbourne Storm. Can you just tell us a little bit about your rugby league past that people might not know about?
Yes, I was raised in Avondale. I did my schooling in Avondale. I played for Marist Saints in Mount Albert. I was a Melbourne Storm junior. Back when the 20 system was present. And footy was my first love. When I first started playing, everyone wanted to be All Black first, and then Sonny Bill started coming in with these shoulder charges. So everyone wanted to be a rugby league player. And then after that, man, I knew it wasn't good enough for footy, and was better at throwing hands, so I chased the fighting.
Fair enough. And I know one of your Marist teammates, Mason Lino, is still out there kicking around. Do you still have much to do with him?
Yeah. I've known Mason since since he was crying to the teacher every day in intermediate. So, man, no, that's one of my good friends. You know, him, a couple other boys, Michael Seal. We all went in, intermediate together, and they went on to play international footy, which is quite crazy, man. We're just these three little kids from Avondale running amok.
You even miss footy?
Man, I still have a little little run around here and there. Play in the social team sometimes. Lace the boots and try to live some old glory days, eh?
Oh, good, man. And back to fighting. Obviously, like you say, you found fighting after rugby league. You're still relatively fresh in your MMA career. Just how has your learning experience been, given that you made your UFC debut only 4 fights in with such a big crowd, and just how has this whole process been for you so far?
It's been good, it's kind of been on the go kind of situation. And I only had 3 fights and none of them went the distance too. Like 2 of them were first round, the first minute kind of finishes or whatever, and the other one went second round. So I didn't have a full fight, like a whole 3-round fight under my belt heading into the UFC. So a lot of this, my UFC journey has been my MMA journey at the same time. But it's been fun. I feel like I've improved vastly. From my first fight. I feel like I'm showing people more and more of my evolution every fight, and I showed in my last fight. Like I went the rounds. I showed a bit of the grappling. I showed that like I have been working my whole MMA game. So it's only up. If that's the trajectory, then this next fight's gonna show even more.
Do you feel like fans often see someone coming in from a kickboxing background and think they can only stand and bang? Like they just think they can't do anything on the ground?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I don't blame them, especially if I come from Mark Hunt's camp. So he was a stand and bang guy, and the other boys that come through kind of stand and bang with Bam Bam and Carlos, and so I didn't blame them, bro. I didn't blame them if they do think that, but it's my job to let them know.
What's your plan from today going forward? I see Australian fighter Josh Kulibau. He's flown out to Vegas today. He's fighting on the same card. When do you fly out? And
I just seen that. I was like, what the heck? This guy's getting nice and early. I didn't leave till Tuesday, so I didn't get there till. I'm like, oh, that gives me enough time to get used to the time difference. But man, I don't care. I just want to fight. I want to fight with this guy. I want to punch him in the head. I want to see what he likes. Like, are you about that or not? And that's it. That's why the crowd love me, man. I just go out there and I leave it out there.
Just on that, can you tell us a little bit about what the first sort of exchanges in a fight are like for those of us who might not have ever stepped in the cage before? Like, I know a lot of people talk about, sizing your opponent up at weigh-ins or whatever, but just to get that feel from the first strike that they land or you land and how they respond, just what is that like?
How would I explain it? It's like when you chat with someone, like someone you just meet and you're testing waters, I guess. Just in a little bit more violent way, but it's just the same thing, like when you jump in an Uber and then you see someone, you're like, does he like footy? So you kind of like test the waters and, you watched the footy game on the weekend, and they're like, oh no, I don't watch footy. I'm like, shit. It's kind of like a similar thing. You go in, you refresh something, like sometimes it hits off and it's nice and then it's nice and calm, or sometimes it doesn't, it sways the wrong way and you have to really adjust. But I just feel like it's just a bit, I'm a nerd at the beginning.
So is it kind of like, if you land a shot they react a certain way, and at that moment you can be like, okay, I've got this guy, or I have to feel him out a little bit more. Like, is that sort of how things work?
Yeah, definitely. You hit them with a good shot at the beginning and you see how they react to it, or they hit you with a good shot and see how they react to them landing a good shot. It's all kind of like, judgment of body language too as well, and even the facial expression. Sometimes the eyes light up even they don't want to. They're trying to put their poker face on, but they get a good punch in there. They get the big eyes, and kind of like that, man.
We know you fly the flag for Samoa. One of a few guys to be of Samoan heritage, like Carlos Felipe, as well as another one who's just made his debut recently. Just how has it been for you being on this stage and having the platform that you do to, I guess, represent Samoan culture?
Yeah, man, it's an honor, like it's something you dream about when you're young, like for me I remember watching David Tour and watching all those boxing 24/7s and being like, wow, this is crazy, man. Imagine being able to be that person that flies the flag and get all the bus drivers wearing all their necklaces, at work. And it's like, I used to see that and I used to be like, damn, man, that must be crazy. And then when I was given the opportunity, I was like, man, well, what a responsibility and what an honor to do that. But I still try to represent New Zealand and Australia. I was raised in New Zealand and Australia, and always representing. But at the same time, I like to represent the minority. And that's both my parents were born in Samoa, and we lived a real traditional way of living. So I still want to keep that moving forward and just keep that moving for the younger generations.
Just finally, I know a lot of fighters don't actually watch UFC cards. So before I ask you for any predictions, are you a guy who watches every weekend?
No, I don't even know who's fighting on my card. So, man, I didn't even know who's fighting this weekend.
I was going to ask you for your prediction for the lightweight championship, which is Michael Chandler and Charles Oliveira. But maybe I won't do that.
Yeah, I don't really care.
Yeah.
Teddy Ferguson, I hope he wins. Man, he's been a very unlucky guy, but man, I would have no idea who's fighting this weekend. Sorry.
Oh, good, man. You're not the only one, so don't worry about that. Justin Tafa, thank you very much for your time and good skill next weekend.
Cheers. Thank you very much.